If you're looking for a cute waifu who can just nuke all of your enemies fairly easily, then I think Navia is really gonna be for you. And that's really it with Navia. Navia is a Geo unfilled DPS that can be used in quick swap teams and is really simple. Her job is to do a ton of front loaded damage with her gigantic umbrella gun and leave. That's it. For once, we got someone with a simple kit in the land of essays, and it's really nice. If you're into Navia's design, her personality, or just like cannons, I think you should give her a fair shot. Personally, for me, I pulled her solely because she is incredibly fun to play. I spent an hour in her character trial, something that I've never done before for any other character. She doesn't require a lot of work, her rotations are easy, and once you get the flow going with her, seeing the damage, hitting the 100k in the trial is absolutely wild. And just getting a feel for Navia, it gets really addicting. As for what she does, her skill fires a shotgun-like blast from her umbrella, and you will notice that there's a little ammo bar on the side. Basically, whenever Navia or her teammate picks up a crystallized shard, she'll gain a round of ammo, which caps out at 6. Collect 6 shards, do really big boom damage. And her talent multipliers are absolutely insane, thus the large amount of damage that she can do. Her ult fires off geocannons that when they hit an enemy will actually create a shard of crystallize, aiding in Navia gaining her ammo. They create a shard every 2.4 seconds, so while you won't gain max ammo from just one burst, it greatly aids in Navia gaining these stacks. And her no more attacks are standard, but she has a talent passive that makes them viable for her kit. Her first talent makes it so that after you use her skill, she gets a Geo Infusion with a bit of extra damage, and this helps create crystallized shards via reactions with the help of your off-field supports. Her second passive for each teammate that is an Animal, Dendro, or Geo, she'll gain 20% attack, stacking twice for a total of 40%. This is incredibly helpful as Navia wants a lot of attack, meaning you will most likely have 2 Geo units on your team and 2 preferred elemental types. And her third passive is just 25% more expedition rewards for Fontaine. Now Navia as a whole has a lot of strengths and a few weaknesses that can really decide if you should pull her or not. First off, Navia wants a lot of attack and crit, as her skill scales off of attack and they can also crit, meaning you want a good crit ratio. But due to her burst mechanic helping you charge up your ammo, she also wants a bit of ER, which can be difficult to balance. I have found that 160 to 180 ER is enough to have that burst pretty much up whenever you need it, but that is with another Geo unit, as it is a 60 energy cost, which while it isn't the highest, it's still up there. Thankfully though, Navia has her own domain that is tailored for her, the Nighttime Whispers and Echoing Woods. The 2-piece and 4-piece greatly aid her, and this is where you would run the ER sense if you needed more energy recharge. Typically, for your goblet, you want to do the Geo bonus damage and a crit circulate, either crit rate or crit damage. But a 2-piece of attack percent also works just fine if you have better subsets or still need to farm her set. And for another weakness, Navia's choice of weapons outside of the limited ones are really, well, limited. If you're someone who is just getting into Genshin now, or missed the 4.3 event, then you won't have the Ultimate Overlord's Mega Magic Sword. That is pretty much a tailor-made 4-star weapon for Navia that provides not only a lot of energy recharge, but a good amount of attack as well, even more if you've helped out the Melazines. But this was a very limited weapon, and there's no way to get it if you missed it, unfortunately. Serpent Spine, which is a Battle Pass weapon, does compete with her signature weapon at R5, but it's not a free-to-play weapon. Really, if you can get her a crit weapon and then go in Energy Sands, or if you use something like the Favonius Doper Energy, then it's not too bad. She has some decent craftable weapons as well. She just really wants her stats, either attack, crit, or ER. And you do need to be able to create crystallize. Also, many people seem to think that she's not good for AoE or that she's only good in single target. Now, she does excel in single target, given that if all of her bullets hit the same enemy, the damage will increase. But even with that, the splash damage is still pretty insane. And finally, Navia is Geo, so she can't really do any offensive elemental reactions. She relies on raw Unga Bunga damage. But that raw Unga Bunga damage hits like a freaking tank, so her being Geo as a weakness is a matter of taste. Getting into her strengths though, a really big one is her teams, as Navia has great 4-star and free-to-play options. One main team is Navia, Bennett for the attack buff, Ling for the pyro resonance and off-field pyro application, and Ningguang, who is also on her banner, but she helps create Geo shards and gain Geo energy. Or you can swap out Ningguang for someone like Noelle if you want more defensive utility. Really, Navia just wants a buffer like Bennett because she gains so much value from an attack buff, or Farina because she's Farina and her buffing is insanely cracked. But typically you do run Navia with a buffer, another Geo gaining the resonance, and a flex unit. Keep in mind that you just really want supports that can help you create crystallize from off field so that Navia can gain her ammo. Another really good thing about Navia is that she's just so easy to play. I didn't mention this earlier, but if you're making a ton of shards and they're just kind of flying everywhere, if you hold your skill, you'll enter aiming mode and any shards will just come to you. Its range is pretty nice, but you can always just tap it and the damage will still be the same. Now, once you actually get your Navia going, you're going to be seeing that she's gonna be hitting hard. Like I said, she's front loaded. She does her initial maxed out skill, recharges her ammo, and then she'll do it again. She has a few rotations. A typical rotation is that you use your buffer, Navia ult, swap to supports to rack up the crystallize, switch to Navia and nuke everything, and rinse and repeat. But with Navia, she's able to clear everything in the overworld perfectly fine, except things with a major Geo resistance. And while she's not a top tier choice in the Abyss, you can mix around her teams when you need different elements, just depending on what's in there. And she'll still do perfectly fine. Her burst really helps her out in gaining stacks, so it leaves a lot of flexibility. But that's just Navia. She's so simple, she's so easy to use, and once you gear her up, she's going to be nuking your enemies. Even a lower invested Navia can still shred enemies in single target perfectly fine. As for Navia's constellations, you don't really need them. Like I said, she's so simple, her constellations don't really add much. C1 definitely helps with her energy needs, but it's really not that big of a deal. C2 basically gives her more crit rate for her E, and will actually give you some more support cannon fire. C4, just Geores. C6, it's just gonna give you a crap ton of crit damage, and actually return the 3 shots. Overall, Navia C0 is perfectly fine. If you do want to vertically invest in Navia, I do recommend going for the weapon. It's just so drippy. It looks so great and it's very strong on her, but it is not needed. Serpent's fine, although you do have to buy it, is perfectly fine, and her 4-star options. But still, it just looks so cool on it. Overall, I just found Navia so fun to use. Her signature, while once again not needed, looks amazing. Her design is beautiful. Her personality is beautiful, and I just have a blast with nuking all of my enemies with a shotgun to the face. Let me know if you agree down below. Share me your thoughts. Hope you win your 50/50s, and I'll see y'all in the next one.